Have you ever found yourself thinking, this isn't the marriage I imagined? Maybe you imagined endless romance, effortless communication, and always being on the same page. But instead, you found misunderstandings, different personalities, unmet expectations, and seasons that tested your love. If you've ever felt that way, you're not alone. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to My Marriage and High, where we explore marriage through the lens of God's Word. Today, we're talking about the marriage we imagined versus the marriage we have. Whether we are married or single, we all have expectations. And some of these expectations come from family, some from social media, some from movies and fairy tales, and some from our own hopes and dreams. The problem isn't that we have expectations. The problem is when our expectations become more important than God's purpose. Marriage was never promised to be perfect. After all, marriage is made up of two imperfect people learning to love like Christ. So marriage was designed to help us grow. In Romans 8:28, we are reminded that God works in all things for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. That includes the joyful seasons and the difficult ones. Sometimes we spend so much time wishing our marriage looked different that we miss what God is doing in the marriage we already have. Let me ask you this question. What if the marriage you've been praying for God to change is actually the marriage God is using to change you? Take a moment to think about that. Could it be that God is using the misunderstandings, the challenges, the disappointments, and even the waiting to shape your character, strengthen your faith, and teach you how to love more like Christ? The truth is, every marriage has a gap between expectation and reality. Now, the question is, what do we do with that gap? Do we become frustrated? Do we compare our marriage with others? Or do we invite God into that space and allow him shape us? Comparison is one of the quickest ways to become dissatisfied. Sometimes we see someone else's highlight reel and assume their marriage is perfect, when in reality, every marriage has its own private challenges that the world never sees. Instead of asking, why isn't my marriage like theirs? We should ask, Lord, what are you teaching me in my marriage? That question changes everything. Marriage isn't about finding two perfect people. It is about two imperfect people learning to love each other more like Christ every day. Some of the strongest marriages aren't the ones that never struggled. They are the ones that choose to trust God in the middle of the struggle. So if your marriage doesn't look like what you imagined, don't lose hope. God is still at work. He can fix what has been broken. He can strengthen what has become weak. He can even use the difficult seasons to draw you closer to him and to one another. Maybe the goal isn't to build the marriage we imagined, but to build the marriage God intended. As we close, I would like to leave you with this question. Am I holding on to my own expectations, or am I trusting God to shape my marriage according to his purpose? Before we meet again, I would like you to take a moment and reflect on today's question. Ask God to search your heart and reveal any expectations you need to surrender to him. If you're married, have an honest conversation with your spouse about the expectations you both brought into the marriage and how it has changed over time. If you're single, ask yourself whether your expectations for marriage are shaped more by God's word or by the world around you. Remember, strong marriages are not built in a day. They are built one intentional decision at a time, with God at the center. Thank you for joining me on My Marriage and I. If this episode encouraged you, please like, share, and subscribe. God bless you and see you in the next episode.